Have you ever walked through a garden early in the morning and stopped dead in your tracks because a spider web caught the light just right? That perfect circular shape hanging between two branches, covered in tiny dewdrops, each thread radiating outward from the center, like the spokes of a wheel. It is genuinely one of the most beautiful structures in the natural world. But here is the question nobody stops to ask. Why is it round? A spider is not an architect. It has a brain smaller than a pinhead. It has never seen a blueprint. It has never studied geometry. Yet every orb-weaving spider on every continent on Earth independently produces the same basic circular design. Not squares, not triangles, not random tangles. Perfect rounds. Every single time. Here is the part that will completely change how you see this. Spiders do not actually design the web. They follow a set of simple biological instructions. And then physics takes over and does the rest. The circle is not a plan. It is an inevitability. And the reason why reveals something extraordinary about how the laws of nature quietly shape the world around us, without any creature understanding what is happening. Welcome to History Behind Simple Things. Today we are unraveling one of the most beautiful architectural mysteries in the natural world. Why spider webs are round and not any other shape. To understand the web, we first need to understand the silk. Spider silk is one of the most extraordinary materials on Earth. Pound for pound, it is stronger than steel, more flexible than rubber, and lighter than cotton. A strand of spider silk the thickness of a pencil could theoretically stop a flying aeroplane. Scientists have been trying to synthetically replicate spider silk for decades, and have still not fully managed it. The spider produces this remarkable material from glands in its abdomen, spinning it through organs called spinnerets, controlling the thickness and properties of each thread, depending on what it needs it for. And here is something most people do not know. Spiders produce several completely different types of silk, for different purposes. The spokes of the web, the threads radiating outward from the center, are made from dry, non-sticky silk. They are the structural frame, the spiral threads that run between the spokes, the ones that actually catch insects, are made from a completely different silk, a sticky, elastic silk coated in tiny droplets of glue. The spider knows exactly which silk to produce at which moment, but it does not know why. It is simply following ancient biological instructions, written into its DNA, across 400 million years of evolution. Now here is where the story gets genuinely fascinating. When a spider begins building a web, it does not start with the circle. It starts with a single thread. The spider climbs to a high point, releases a thread of silk, and lets the wind carry it until it catches on something across a gap. This first thread becomes the top of a bridge. The spider then drops from the middle of that bridge on another thread, creating a Y shape. That Y shape is the very first structural skeleton of what will become the web. From that Y, the spider adds more spokes outward from the center, like adding more hands to a clock face. It walks back and forth from the center to the outer edge, laying spoke after spoke, always returning to the center between each one. At this point the web looks like a bicycle wheel without the outer rim. Structural, symmetrical, but not yet round in the way we recognize. Then the spider does something that looks almost mechanical. Starting from the center and working outward in a slow expanding path, it lays the sticky spiral thread across the spokes, touching each spoke as it crosses it, anchoring the spiral at every intersection. Around and around it goes, outward from the center, one continuous expanding loop. And here is the twist that changes everything. That spiral, the circular shape of the finished web, is not something the spider planned. The spider is not thinking in circles. It is simply following one rule. Keep the same distance from the center as you move outward. That is it. That is the only geometric instruction the spider is following. Keep consistent distance from the middle as you spiral out. And what shape do you get when you move outward from a central point, while maintaining consistent distance at every step? A circle. Every time. Automatically. Without any understanding of geometry whatsoever. The circle is not a design decision. It is the mathematical consequence of one simple rule applied repeatedly. The spider follows the rule. Physics and geometry produce the circle. It is almost identical to what happens in a honeycomb. The bees do not build hexagons. Heat and surface tension create the hexagonal shape automatically. The spiders do not build circles. The geometry of consistent radial distance creates the circular shape automatically. In both cases, a creature with almost no brain produces a structure that took human mathematicians centuries to fully understand. Not because the creature is clever, but because nature found the simplest possible rule that produces the optimal result. There is one more layer to this story that makes it even more remarkable. The circular shape is not just beautiful. It is the mathematically optimal shape for catching flying insects. A circle covers the maximum possible area, using the minimum possible amount of silk. Any other shape, a square, a triangle, a rectangle, would either waste silk covering corners where insects rarely fly, or leave gaps in the coverage that insects could pass through. The circle catches the most prey for the least material investment. The spider did not figure this out. 400 million years of evolution figured it out on the spider's behalf. The spiders that happened to follow the consistent distance rule caught more food, survived longer, and passed that rule to their offspring, generation after generation. The rule was refined until it became the instinct we see today. A perfect circle, produced by a creature that has no idea what a circle is. So the next time you stop to look at a spider web catching the morning light, remember what you are actually looking at. You are not looking at something a spider designed. You are looking at the inevitable mathematical consequence of one simple rule, shaped by 400 million years of trial and error, producing a structure so optimal that no human engineer has improved upon it. The spider just shows up and follows the instructions. The universe does the geometry. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden science behind this simple thing, hit that like button. Share this with a curious friend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.